In this episode of Marmalade Mysteries, Lisa covers the JonBenét case and asks the question, is it a family cover-up or stranger danger? Georgia takes a dive into a mysterious woman found in an elm tree in England during World War II, and we try to figure out who put Bella in the Wych Elm. Stay tuned, Marmaladers. We'll see you soon on the other side.
Hey guys, welcome to Marmalade Mysteries. I'm Ariel.
I'm Georgia.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Olivia.
We are four best friends brought together by our interest in true crime and mystery.
Through the years we lived together, we constantly talked and tried to solve cold cases and mysteries from around the world.
Plus, we really just like the sound of our own voices. So we decided to put it out in the podcast world so all of you can hear how funny we think we are.
Each week, you'll hear one murder
and one mystery.
We'll also feature a missing person because we believe in the power of communities to find lost people.
So, pour yourself a hot cup of joe.
Settle in.
And brace yourself
for Marmalade Mysteries.
Hey guys, welcome back to Marmalade Mysteries. I'm Ariel.
I'm Georgia.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Olivia.
That was so loud.
Oh, you've got like a broadcaster voice over there.
I forget how loud this microphone gets, so just let me know if it gets too crazy, if I get like Seinfeldy.
Sweet baby tones, Olivia. Sweet baby tones.
Taking over the show.
So I was thinking about today's episode, and I was thinking, it's 2021. We're looking for something new, starting fresh. Hopefully 2020 is way behind us nowadays. What is everybody planning on reading this year? Anything murder mystery related going on?
Yeah, what a great question, Ariel. I have had I'll Be Gone in the Dark for like 2 years now, and I have not read it. So that is going to be my book for 2021.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. So I'm like 3/4 of the way through. I haven't completely finished it, but it's really good.
I am trying to, so I started it. I haven't finished it, but I'm trying to finish The Glass House. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Is that the one about the, it's like written from the perspective of the girl who grew up with her father who was schizophrenic?
I'm sorry. It's called The Glass Hotel. I don't know why I said Glass House. Yeah, so it's The Glass Hotel. I have it right here next to me. It's by Emily St. John Mandel. Emily St. John Mandel. And so when I went to the bookstore, the guy there was like, highly recommend this. It's a New York's bestseller, and you'd be really surprised by the ending. So I started it, but then the holidays started. And so you know how the holidays are. And then so here we are in January, and I thought, maybe I should start that back up again.
Yeah, Lisa, you reading anything? You got any time, frontliner?
Well, I don't read as much as you guys do, but a friend of mine sent me a fun Christmas present, Get Out of Your Head by Jeannie Allen. And I'm real stoked to get started at this one. It's about stopping spiraling thoughts. And I'm really into the self-help series, especially when you do them with people. So it's fun.
Yeah, that was me. I sent that to
her. Okay, well, I have a new book, and an old new book that I'm reading, that I'm going to start reading. I keep saying I'm going to read, but I haven't had the time yet. But I'm going to touch base back with, do you guys know Killers of the Flower Moon?
Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah, so it's a book that investigated like a series of murders of the wealthy Osage people. And essentially it created the Texas Rangers, and it helped, it didn't create the Texas Rangers, but I think it helped establish the FBI and stuff like that. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's apparently
cool.
Very riveting. So
it's okay. You'll read the book. You'll find out. You'll let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it should be really fun. So, all right. Well, what do we got on for today? Who's up today? George and Lisa?
It's us.
All right. Who's got the murder today? Should we start with that?
Yeah, we can jump right in. So I was looking through, trying to figure out what looked super interesting, and I kind of picked one that is pretty popular, but I had forgotten a lot of the details, and I don't think I ever had the story all lined out. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard it, but I want to kind of laid out for you. This one's about JonBenét Ramsey. So brace yourself. This story includes
rough.
violence towards a child. So if that's a lot, I suggest you fast forward to the mystery for today. It's pretty good. Not to scare anyone. Our aim is not to scare anyone any more than 2020 already has. Kidding, but not kidding. So, cue the laughing. Thank you.
You're welcome. I was laughing, but my mic was on mute. But that was
Did you
funny.
write in that joke? Did you write that joke in?
I did. I actually wrote it in because I knew I'd forget.
That was clever.
I mean, to be fair, this is a very heavy one, and there's a reason why it's so popular. It's a tough one to get through, like when you're listening to it.
So, and also it takes place in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm slightly obsessed with Boulder, Colorado. And we just passed Christmas, so it also has to do with Christmas. So, Boulder, Colorado, also a dream destination to some, just to add, is a nice swanky town near Denver, Colorado, and home to the esteemed Ramsey family. They were a very well-to-do family where the father was the president of Access Graphics, a thriving computer company. His wife was a former pageant queen and took on a full role taking care of her children. In town, people knew the Ramsey name. John's company would later become part of the Lockheed Company, and Patsy deemed the name of Pageant Mother, one of her daughter's biggest fans. From a very young age, JonBenét was entered into beauty pageants. She earned dazzling titles such as Little Miss Colorado, Little Miss, Cher Levoy, Colorado State All-Star Kids cover girl, and America's Royal Miss. JonBenét was a beauty with all the poise, bright blonde hair, and face full of makeup. She captured the attention of many, possibly to her detriment. JonBenét was enrolled in kindergarten at High Peaks Elementary School and was known to be a bright-minded child, especially good at math. The chilling events that unfolded on Christmas morning, 1996, were devastating and made this family's American dream life, as it appeared from the outside, turn into a nightmare. On Christmas Eve, the family returned home from a Christmas party around 10 p.m. Plans the next day were to visit their vacation home in Charlevoix, so they wanted to start the morning early. Patsy, the mother, got up, and as she descended down the staircase, there was a handwritten note 3 pages long. The note ended up to the family's detriment to be a ransom note, that if they wanted JonBenét to make it to 1997, the family would have to hand over $118,000. The note went to great length explaining what kind of bills the kidnapper wanted and exactly how the money was to be retrieved. One strange detail was $118,000 was the exact amount of money that John had made for his bonus that year. An excerpt from the note stated, "You stand 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate me, John." It just
Don't underestimate me. That sounds like it's one person.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misread it. Don't underestimate us, John. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
I don't know. John must have not been, I don't know, in my per se, a lot of people jealous of the family. Just, I'm sure they were loved, but also.
But it's kind of weird the phrasing. It's kind of weird the phrasing that was used. Like, you have a 99% chance of her dying, but a 100% chance. It's just like weird phrasing.
It's very weird phrasing. Patsy, first thing, ran back up the stairs to JonBenét's room and saw that she wasn't there, and continued to her husband to bring him the worst news a father ever wants to hear. Patsy called the police, disregarding the threats in the note not to go to the police, and then immediately calls friends and asks them to come over. The first cop on the scene, Rick French, noticed that there was no sign of forced entry. What was odd about the whole story was that none of the events seemed to fall by the book. The house was not roped off and deemed a crime scene. The cops allowed friends to just flood in for moral support. One detail that was important was that there was a half-eaten bowl of pineapple on the table, and a flashlight, seeming not at the time to be important. This time, the police conducted a second sweep of the house at 2 p.m. So it sounds like they did an initial sweep when they were first called. It didn't seem like it was really detailed. At that time, friends had flooded in for moral support. I read that friends were being so casual as to even shower at the place. Like there were so many friends, people just walking around everywhere, which is so odd when a murder just happens. I mean, I don't know personally, but I just wouldn't think I would call all my friends to come over. But that's just me.
I think it's weird for the friends to come over and then get in the shower. Don't these people live nearby?
Yeah, why would they shower? That's weird. Okay, whatever.
Like clean up themselves is what it said, and I just don't understand why that was even a detail. So then at 2 p.m. they did their their further search. John started with the basement. Oh, John went with the officers. And he started the search with the officers, and they decided to start in the basement. This time going into a wine cellar the police had missed on their first sweep. When they opened the cellar door, there lied JonBenét's body. She was lying on her back, her arms over her head, duct tape over her mouth, and a blanket lying over her body. Cord was looped around her wrists and her neck. The cord was attached to a jimmy-rigged garrote made out of a wooden paintbrush to hold the cord. It also appeared that her head had been hit and there was evidence of sexual abuse. Immediately after John saw his daughter, he went up to her, taking the tape off her mouth, and took her upstairs, further tampering and destroying the crime scene. In a later interview, John talked how he felt relief that he had her in his arms. And then minutes later, he realized that she probably wasn't alive.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
I know, like a father's instant. Because, right, just from all the documentaries you've seen, the real mystery is where are they? Like, even whether you know they're dead or alive, there's always a little solace in the family once they at least know where they are. But
yeah,
at the same time, your daughter's...
Yeah, it's absolutely gruesome that your daughter's in the basement of all things in your own house.
Yes. And then all this realizations as he's walking upstairs, it all just hits him while he's carrying her. Just picturing it. There was just a lot of skepticism around this whole thing. So I'm just going to start talking about some of the facts that just didn't always line up right. And I know you guys know a lot about this case also. So if you guys want to throw in anything. The mother said that everyone went right to sleep and that JonBenét did not have any pineapple that she had known of. The security system had not been set the night before. The house was huge, so huge that the family had held tours previously, so one would assume nightly alarms would be a habit. There was a broken window in the basement, which could have been a lead, but John had told police that he broke it months before when he locked himself out of the house. And in front of the window was untouched dust and an intact spider web. There was an unknown footprint found near Benét's body, but completely untouched snow outside the window. So breaking and entering became off the table. It seemed very unlikely because nothing looked like it was tampered with. And the paintbrush uses the garrote that they assumed was used for her death had belonged to Patsy's painting set. So all of this was just created in the house.
I have a weird question, Lisa. What's a garrote?
Okay, I had to look this up. It basically is, so they used the end of a wooden paintbrush and they tied the cord on one side that it looped around. So it looked like if you were to put it around someone's neck, it would be that piece that you would pull forward to make the loop smaller is what it appeared to me, if that makes sense. So now that we kind of talked about how she was killed, I'm going to go back up real quick and talk about the autopsy. So Benét's autopsy showed that she had been asphyxiated. So it was the strangulation actually that ended up killing her, and that she had also suffered cerebral trauma before that. There was no evidence of rape, but assault was not ruled out, and an investigation found that there was partially undigested pineapple in her stomach, which, remember, there was pineapple found upstairs in the bowl. So that was those are interesting things that tie together. And going back to some evidence, One of the most important pieces of evidence was the ransom note. The note was 3 pages, indicating the kidnappers were not under a time restraint, and they had found the note drafted on Patsy's notebook, indicating it was drafted and then written in the house.
Yeah,
The
that's
killer.
so weird. I feel like if
Yeah.
I was gonna do anything that I would easily get caught, I would go in as prepared as possible. I wouldn't go in and be like, oh snap, y'all, we forgot to write the ransom note. Somebody grab a pad of paper. I'd like have it pre-written, come in, drop it off, and leave.
Yeah. And if you go online, you can find that note and what it says exactly written everywhere. And just the amount of detail that was in it, just things that it just looks like it wasn't written quickly, scribbled, and especially having it drafted. Like, yeah. It's some definitely weird things going on. Another odd part was that the killer knew the exact amount of John's bonus. I mean, I don't know if John went around bragging about it or if someone that had known his bank statement, but...
Right. So I watched a documentary on this, and in the documentary, they said that the bonus was a significant amount to where it was so much money. It's one of those things where you just don't talk about it to other people. That's not something that you tell people like at a casual dinner or anything, just because it was such a large amount. So they don't believe anybody who knew that had to be close to John.
And that's such an interesting fact to add in, because either if this is completely spiteful and a jealousy act to get back at him, that could make sense. But then how likely is it? It just depends on their relationship with the town. But I don't know. There's so many things that make this story so just mind-boggling. But what was really odd is the family refused to interview with the police for days and didn't reappear until 5 days later on CNN, asking for anyone to come forward if they had any information. The first thing their father did after finding the body was call the man in charge of his plane and to have it ready to go so he could fly to Atlanta. He tells reporters that he did this because he knew the family was going to be one of the first people suspected. And he also said, this was an ABC News interview that was originally on CNN, that basically they wanted to get Burke out of the limelight because they knew how many people were going to be, like how many paparazzis and reporters were going to be showing up and swarming the area. So they said the reason they left was to protect Burke's sanity. So
I'm sorry. So they were going to Atlanta? What were they going to do in
Yes.
Atlanta?
I don't actually
Why not
know
like
what
the
they were
Cayman
doing in
Islands or
Atlanta.
something? Or somewhere with like no extradition policy. Maybe Atlanta was the I started talking and then I forgot the word. What's it called? Somebody help me out.
Vacation home?
No. When you like are trying to
Like safe house?
trick somebody. No, you're
Oh.
trying to like trick somebody. It's like a
It's a diversion.
red herring. Red herring.
Ah. So the
Never
real
mind.
stuff's going on somewhere else.
Joke's ruined.
Moving on.
Now let's get into some of the theories. It seemed the most popular theory is that the family did it. They were the first suspects. The first theory was that the son somehow accidentally killed her and the parents covered up for him. An interesting fact by Wikipedia says how Burke's fingerprints ended up on the bowl, but his parents told police that Burke usually sleeps through the whole night and they don't remember JonBenét having any pineapple, as stated earlier. Also, the fact that the family was not initially helpful with police, and according to Wikipedia, 1 out of 12 times a child homicide is a family or close friend. The ransom note was also very suspicious. According to police, most ransom notes are not written inside the home, which we've talked about, and they are almost never 3 pages long. One theory is that Burke hit her over the head, potentially with the flashlight, after she stole some pineapple, not intending to kill her. In 2015, according to CNN, they found out that she had actually been hit over the head with something hard 45 minutes before she was strangled. So there was a time gap I don't know what happened in that time gap, but that's still part of the mystery. So
she
Molly
was hit on the
Chambers,
head. 45 minutes later, she was strangled.
yes.
Enough time for Burke to hit her, panic, not know what to do. Mom or dad come downstairs, see what happened, or he goes up, tells mom and dad, and then they talk to each other, and then they come up with a plan. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it sounds like he may have hit her harder than he intended to, and then what could have happened was she's unconscious, and he freaks out. He doesn't know what to do because he hit her too hard, which he shouldn't have done in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah, but he was also a baby. He, kids don't realize how strong they are, and
As a loving parent, you're like, I could still get her to the hospital. Like, if you know she's not dead, like, I can get her to the hospital, we can save her. Unless they're thinking she'll come back with brain damage or come back knowing what's happening, and they really think that Burke's gonna get in trouble with, like, the authorities for this.
I don't know. I've also heard that they were possibly a bit abusive as well, because there was some issues with like JonBenét wetting the bed to like a late age and stuff, which suggested that she might have possibly been having issues in the household. So you never know.
The note was another fact that pointed to the Ramsey family, which we've already discussed. The handwriting appeared that it could have belonged to Patsy. Analysts also claim that some of the phrases, such as "I advise you to be rested," pointed to a female author. That's not always true, but in this case, that's what this person claims. And the claim is that she was covering up for her son. This was all coming from Molly Chambers. She's a columnist that summarized the Burke family theory very well. An interesting fact was that the tape that covered John's mouth appeared to have fibers from the sweater that Patsy wore the night before, though she could never be used as incriminating evidence because the father dropped the tape to the floor after he took it off. So it's almost like this was staged. The father was claimed by...
Sorry,
Yes?
no, so I don't know if you said this earlier. I did hear in a documentary one time that the reason why this is such a difficult case is because of the way that JonBenét's father had acted when he saw her body, because he had rushed to the body and he touched it. Well, he rushed the body and grabbed her, and he started like mourning for her, which is actually a big no-no for police, because then all of the initial evidence that could have been on her body is skewed because his fingerprints are all over it, which was a big problem throughout the case because of this.
Oh, yeah. That's actually I'm glad you added that in, Olivia. I really made it sound how we were talking about how he was mourning when he first saw her, but that is one of the biggest things that I think skewed any real evidence, was definitely how he picked her up. He took the tape off, like things that they needed to have the medical team come in and analyze. Everything was ruined now. And let's see, it was stated earlier that Burke was alleged to have hit his sister over the head with a flashlight. According to Chambers, though, this was not the first time he had violently lashed out at his sister and was reported to have a quick temper. He once hit his sister over the head at a golf tournament with a golf club. And I read that from multiple sources. And once he spread feces, around her room when he got upset with her. Also,
but I also feel like that's just normal sibling behavior. Like, to be honest, there's a video of me kicking my sister in the head because I was just jealous of the attention she was getting at like the age of 5. Like, that's just normal sibling behavior, I think, to like hit them over the head or something. Because you also aren't aware of your strength and what it can do to them at that age. So to that, at least for me, I feel like that's just normal behavior between children.
Yeah, my brother punched me in the face one time, so that happens.
True. He wouldn't know this golf club was super, super heavy and could be used as a murder weapon. I guess you wouldn't think about that when you're young. But 20 years later, after the murder, Burke decided to have his first appearance live, and what his story was. So he came to Dr. Phil, and people were very skeptical of his whole over affect and how he portrayed while Dr. Phil was asking him questions. Burke appeared to have an anxious smile on his face the entire interview. Body language analysts claim his response could have been due to anxiety, but it still raises a lot of questions to his emotional stability. I didn't research a lot about like Burke's past and how he was overall perceived, but it just kind of seems from the tidbits I was getting that Burke wasn't like a super loud child, that he was kind of timid, that he was jealous of JonBenét's popularity, and maybe he wasn't the most emotionally stable child, and this trauma happening at a young age. So maybe this was just a really anxious interview when he was in his 20s, but
I mean,
don't-
he would have spent his entire childhood after what happened to JonBenét in the limelight. His parents are being accused of these things. There's no way he can go to a regular school again to interact with his peers without having the rumors circulating and people talking about him and talking about his family. So, yeah, I mean, if he's a little awkward in social situations, that could be why.
No, I completely agree. According to Wikipedia, on July 9th, 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office announced that as a result of newly developed DNA sampling and testing techniques, the Ramsey family members were excluded as subjects in the case. Lacey publicly exonerated the Ramseys, but people still have their doubts. I remember reading, I know that they were exonerated, but I do remember reading that there was trace amount of DNA found on her undies. We weren't sure if the people that made it, that packaged the underwear, if that DNA had come from the people that packaged it, or they said that there were multiple people's DNA found, but I don't remember exactly whose.
Yeah, and I
We can
think
just
I
keep going.
remember hearing later down the line that the manufacturers of the underwear came out and said that the DNA could have come from the people who were packaging it, that were like, folding it and putting it into the packages and using, I think, their bare hands, or I mean, who knows? I don't actually remember, but it was something like that like gave a reason.
But I don't think that there was enough, at least from my memory, I don't think there was enough evidence for it to point anywhere
to the family. So then there's the flip side, the intruder, that theory. They believed that through the nature of her pageant life, that she could have been exposed at a young age to pedophiles or other people in charge of producing child pornography. In a CNN interview in 2012, John Ramsey stated, child beauty pageants make him uncomfortable, and he regrets letting her start so young, and that he could have been flaunting her in front of the killer the whole time. The theory is that the intruder came in through the broken window. Inconsistent details, like we talked about earlier, the intact dust and the cobwebs. It was believed that JonBenét was subdued using a stun gun, and there was found to be marks on her body that indicated the use of one. There was also 2 windows left slightly open to let out cords of Christmas lights and an unlocked door. They along with the deactivated alarm system, could have allowed really easy access for an intruder.
That would have made sense.
So this story has been widely covered, and people have come up with so many theories. I'm sure you guys all have your own theories. E! News even spoke on a theory that Katy Perry is JonBenét, that she's still alive. I think it's very insensitive to the family, and also their timelines, they would all be different ages. But another is that Jeffrey Epstein ended up killing JonBenét. This theory was interesting because another story, the disappearance of Natalie Holloway, was also theorized to be kidnapped and sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. This theory is intriguing because of the strange nature that Patsy's battle of ovarian cancer claimed her life. Her husband had appeared to have dated Beth Holloway, Natalie Holloway's mother. Even though both incidences were a decade apart from each other, they shared the commonality in the involved high-profile cases of their daughters.
Whoa, this is news to me. I did not know this.
So the connection would be the father of the family would be John?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because Natalie Holloway disappeared in Aruba, right? I believe that's...
Yes, on a school
Yeah,
trip.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
I mean...
And then her parents got divorced, and when they got divorced and Patsy Ramsey passed away, John Ramsey and I guess Beth Holloway, I didn't realize that was Natalie's mom's name, but yeah, they were dating for a while.
Isn't that wild? Like, it just, the coincidences. It was saying maybe they were bonding over the fact that they both had really hard tragedies in their life. And at that point, Patsy had passed away.
Is the
Yeah,
world really that small, you guys? Like,
See, I
that's
don't
Surely
know.
not.
I
surely
don't know
mean,
the
they-
not.
Jeffrey.
They were both such
Because-
high profile cases though. Like they must have like met at some point. I don't know. I feel like at a
like a group dating site for like
I would hope
parents
not.
struggling. That's not funny, but I mean, maybe.
so when is let me know when it's time for theories. My theory specifically.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Another theory that I think personally is a little more believable. Gary Oliva, a man accused of sexual abuse towards minors, had lived a few blocks away. He was arrested quite a bit later after the murder for charges unrelated to the case, but a stun gun and a picture of JonBenét was found in his backpack, y'all. Further investigation led police to his house, where they found that he had a shrine of JonBenét on his wall.
No, I've heard of this. Did he have a criminal record of being a pedophile? Is that right?
He had a
Yes.
record of yeah. He had a pretty lengthy record, didn't he?
Yes.
But
So
I
he would be
think-
the
I think-
prime.
I think a lot of theorists have already like said like it's not him. I mean, even though he was in love with her, there was just with the timeline and stuff. I think that they said that there wasn't any evidence of him being there, and there was more evidence of him not being there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Georgia?
Something like he was in Europe or something when JonBenét died. It was something like that.
One thing was that the shrine of JonBenét, Oliva claimed that he wasn't fantasizing over it, so he could cry for her loss and mourn her death. I don't know if that's true, but okay. So Oliva's high school friend told authorities that she thought differently and claimed that hours after the murder was to have happened, he had called her and said that he accidentally hurt a little girl. He is currently in jail for attempt of sexual assault to a minor and serving a 10-year sentence. So that was one of, I thought, pretty strong theories. Another compelling suspect was Bill Mcreynolds, a man who plays Santa Claus at child's parties and had been at the Ramseys' house only days before she had been murdered. His daughter and another 9-year-old had been kidnapped and molested by an unknown person, but then released back. And it was also discovered that Janet, his wife, had written a playwright where a girl was tortured and found dead in her basement. So, also sexual assault is just riveting around this man and
Yeah,
his
it's
wife.
so weird.
Yeah, and then his wife writes a torture scene for a child. Another theory claims that their housekeeper, Linda, this one's a little far out because it really just said because she has keys to the house. But honestly, there's so many loose ends to this story. The evidence all had been tampered with. Like, the crime scene wasn't roped off. The police had done things wrong. The family had done things wrong. There was no clear-cut answer to this story, and no one knows the answer. But I am very excited to hear what Olivia thinks happened, because this might be the answer that we've all been waiting for.
It's a well, you have to realize that this is another one of those like serious theories that I've compiled over many documentaries. But I actually watched a Netflix documentary. I'm sure you guys watched it a couple of years ago. I think it came out like 2 or 3 years ago. It was called Casting JonBenét. It was on Netflix, and it's not actually a documentary. It doesn't tell you about the murder. It doesn't tell you what happened. It's very unique. I really like this one because what it does is they hired like, I think it was like 8 to 10 actors and actresses to play JonBenét, to play her father, to play Patsy, and to play her brother. And as an actor, what your job is you are supposed to put yourself in that person's shoes and say, what is my motivation? Why would I do this? So what they did is they interviewed these actors, and they had to say like, well, Patsy could possibly be feeling this way, or her brother could have possibly been feeling this way and he acted in this way. I thought it was interesting because all of these actors had different perspectives, and I think that was the point of the documentary. And I've seen a couple of other documentaries where they lay out all the facts just like Lisa did. But after watching this, it's kind of like you have to think, what was the motivation and what was the person feeling at the time? And I think that's what the entire premise of that Netflix show was. So after like deliberation and listening to all of these facts and stuff, to me, the only person who really had any gain from JonBenét's death was her mother, Patsy. I think maybe it is a possibility that her brother accidentally did something, but then again, he's so young that I don't think he is capable of killing her on purpose. I mean, even if he like threw her down the stairs or hit her. And also, like, as a parent, like Lisa said, like as a parent, if you see your little girl like get hit or something, you're gonna take her to the ER, right? Like that's what you do. Like, oh my gosh, my child just got hit in the head. Let's take her to the ER, right? Even if she's passed out, like if you really are panicking. Personally, I think something happened with Patsy because, like Ariel had said, she does have a past of being a pageant beauty as well, and she wanted her family to have like this certain image amongst the neighbors. And JonBenét did have a really bad habit of wetting the bed, and she was trying to follow the footsteps of her mother. In the documentaries that I've watched, they said that Patsy could have just had a short fuse with her, and I think I don't think the father had a hand in it, just because of his reaction to it, just the reaction of finding JonBenét's body, because I think he genuinely thought she was missing. And then finding out she was just in their basement was like, oh, she's been here this whole time. And he probably thought she was still alive when he found her. But just at least from the information that I've gotten from past documentaries and that Netflix show, I think the only person who really has any motivation or had any motivation was her mother. Unless there is a third party that is a close friend of the family, because with these murder cases, we always know that it's always somebody who's close to the family or knows the family, right? Unless there's a family friend who took JonBenét's or took Patsy's stationery and planned it all out and took the time to write 3 pages and deliberately used Patsy's stationery and did all of this so that they could have their way with JonBenét. But I don't think that there was any family friends who were accused of such a thing. But in the past, like I just know, like in the past, like with other murders, it's always somebody who knows the family.
Yes, I'm actually so glad that you talked about Patsy, because that was another big theory that I didn't have time to go look over. So that's a really good. I didn't even think about the mom not wanting to fit like the neighborhood stereotype of the perfect family, because sickening as it is, like a lot of people want that image. So I'm glad you brought that up, Olivia. That's a really good theory. And there's so much information about it out there. You covered a lot of information. I didn't speak about it, but I got a lot of my information from Emily Thompson's book that came out and Wikipedia and some off of YouTube.
I just think if it was the brother, it was an accident. Like no child has the strength to kill somebody, especially an 8-year-old. Like we've all hit our siblings at some point at the age of 8, right? Unless he had accidentally pushed her down the stairs, which can be fatal. But all I'm thinking is, in the past, when I've accidentally hurt my siblings, my parents immediately react and freak out and say, we got to take him to the ER. We have to take him to the ER. Like my brother fell into the Christmas tree one time and they were like, oh my God, he's lost his eye. He's lost his eye. You know what I mean?
Oh
like
my
that's just like
gosh.
the initial reaction with parents, right? So I think
Yeah.
even if it was the brother, the parents would have done something about it. I don't think it would be a cover up.
Well, I know that there's a lot more to this story, but that's hopefully a good little summary of what happened. And
Yeah, Lisa, that was really nice.
Great job.
Yeah, you did
Love
great.
that.
Like lots of good detail.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I love that y'all all had stuff to add in too. I think that made it really
Yeah.
well rounded.
Also, if anyone has any other theories, feel free to write to us, message us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yes.
Let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're now on all the social media outlets.
Yay.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, or either Marma Mysteries or Marmalade Mysteries or something along those lines.
It'll be something. Marmalade
Yeah,
Mysteries.
basically.
All right. Georgia, have you got our mystery today?
I do. All right. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa! I can't wait.
All right. So, I'm going to do the mystery of who put Bella in the Wych Elm. Do you guys know that one?
I don't.
So I stumbled upon it last night, but I purposely did not read it because I knew you were doing it.
Perfect.
I love that.
So I got my sources are BuzzFeed Mystery, the videos, and then Unexplained Mysteries also on YouTube, and then birminghammail.co.uk. So this is the story of it's a World War II era mystery of a woman's decomposed body found in a tree, and she was later named Bella, and she was found in the Wych Elm. And a Wych Elm is a type of tree.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
the baby was found in the tree.
It's a woman. It's a
woman was found in the
woman.
tree, alive,
No, decomposed.
decomposed,
Her
and they named her
decomposing
Bella.
body.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So on April 18th, 1943, 4 boys were hiking and searching for birds' nests for food in the woods in Hagley Wood, part of Hagley Estate, which is private property belonging to Lord Cobham. This is near Birmingham, England. Ariel, do you know how far away Birmingham is from London?
It's quite a ways, I think. A quick little Google search tells me it is 2 hours and 20 minutes away from London. So you're going
Okay.
more up north towards like Coventry and stuff.
Okay. So one boy. Okay, so it was World War II. You know, life is hard. It's towards the end of World War II. Life is hard. Food was scarce, so they were on private property searching for birds' nests to have eggs. One boy began looking for eggs in an old wych elm tree, and when he peered into the wych elm, he found what he first thought to be a large white egg, but when he looked closer, he realized it was a human skull. So the boys freaked out. They didn't tell their parents for a few days because they feared that they would get in trouble because they were searching on private property. One of the youngest boys eventually told his parents. Parents called the police, went to go see what was out there. And when the police arrived, they found the body of a decomposed woman, a blue shoe size 5.5, some fragments of clothing. The clothing pointed to her wearing a cloth skirt with a zipper, a peach-colored taffeta under her skirt, a mock wedding ring, a light blue belt, a dark blue striped knitted woolen cardigan, and they theorized that she was about 5 feet tall with brown hair and had previously given birth to a child.
Woo, she's tiny.
She's very small. Yeah. The opening of the wych elm was also very small. The opening was tapered down at one point. It was as small as 17 inches, and they said the actual tree to be about 5 to 6 feet tall, but the opening was so small that the person that conducted the autopsy said there was no way that anybody could get in there without tearing, quote, tearing, which I thought must have been the verbiage of the day. But yeah, so she wouldn't have just gotten in there. It would have been difficult for her to get in there without it being a struggle. So Professor J.M. Webster autopsied the body, and he said that she was between 25 and 45 years old, but probably closer to 35. He said that no disease or violence contributed to her death. However, she was missing a hand that was found 13 paces from her skeletal remains. A large piece of taffeta was in her mouth, which made him speculate suffocation. He also commented that she had noticeably irregular front teeth and lower jaw and had been in the woods for at least 18 months. So she had been there for a while.
So she had been there decomposed for a while or just been there for a while?
I think they think that she was put in the tree, or she got in the tree and then she died.
Okay.
You know you're giving me nightmares tonight, right?
Sorry, Livy.
Do they think someone shoved her in there?
Yes, they think that somebody would have had to put her into the tree when she had recently died before rigor mortis set in, because they would not have been able to get her in there if her muscles were constricted, because she needed to be like limber to get in. And because there was no skin found, like there might have been a little bit of skin, but I don't think there was a lot. There weren't any photos. I don't think, like, you couldn't see if there were any abrasions on her skin or bruises, but her bones didn't point towards her being like broken.
Nightmares, girl. This
That
is made of nightmares.
Yeah.
Wait, so
That's
they
scary.
think that they killed her before they put her in the tree or after?
I'll get to the theories in a minute.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I gotta go back to
I'm
my document.
scared.
I have like so many things open right now.
I don't like it.
There it is. All right, so police looked through missing person records and put out a request for dentists to come forward as someone who they thought that somebody might have pulled one of her bottom teeth recently. And so they asked all the dentists, but nobody came forward. So they did try to use their resources. They also put out descriptions as to what they thought she might have looked like, because, you know, they had the outfit, they had hair color. But the problem was, at the time, there were so many people and so many missing people and so many lost people because of World War II. There was lots of migration, lots of fleeing. So police were just overwhelmed. In August of 1944, vandalism. This is where like it starts to get weird. August of 1944, vandalism began happening in the local town. A wall had been tagged with the words, "Who put Bella down the Wych Elm? Hagley Wood." And then a few months later, somebody wrote on a house in the same handwriting, "Who put Lubella down the Wych Elm?"
No, thank you. I would have moved.
And because the word witch for Wych Elm is spelled W-Y-C-H, the police were led to think that this wasn't a prank, but it was a real, like, somebody was trying to draw attention back to the case. Somebody was trying to like get it solved.
I just Googled pictures and I regret it. There will be nightmares tonight. It is very scary.
It is.
Thanks for taking one for the team, Liv.
Oh, you guys are going to look at it. Don't you worry. A few months later, who put Huh?
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
That's okay. So this went on. So that happened in the late 40s. Nothing was ever found. It kind of died away. They never found out who she was. In 1970, more vandalists hit a local monument, an obelisk, which is like a stone pillar, and think like the Washington Monument. It kind of looks like that a little bit. So in the 70s, it was tagged again, "Who put Bella down the Wych Elm?" So somebody was still out there, and, you know, that could have been pranksters, you know, so far out, but whatever it was still clearly on the town's mind. At some point, the graffiti happened again, and the person who was doing it was found. They figured out who it was, but that person was cleared. I mean, he was just a jerk. He was stirring the pot and wasn't, you know, he was just doing it for attention. So, you guys ready for some theories? It gets good,
Please.
y'all.
Chicka yeah.
I'm so intrigued. My mental picture of it all.
Witches. We have a German spy. We have a cabaret dancer. So many theories.
I'm not ready.
All right, so theory 1 is that this woman, she was walking through the woods and got scared during an air raid and then died. And maybe then somebody put her in the tree, or she got in the tree because she was scared of the air raid, and then she got stuck.
Are you trying to tell me she was scared to death? Is that what people are trying to say?
Oh,
I mean, you never
play
know.
on words, Liv.
Theory 2 is that, so in 1950, a Birmingham Daily Gazette newspaper writer posed that she was a human sacrifice because there were still remnants of witchcraft in the area, and according to the author, the sacrifices are carried out by people who still believe in a religion practiced in Britain before Christianity, whom we call devil worshippers. They still practice black magic, the belief that as if life is taken out of the ground by farming, a blood sacrifice would be needed. A closely similar murder of Charles Walton in February 1945 was said to be done by witches nearby, and it was stemming off of the Bella case. It excited the local covens, and he was found impaled to the ground by a pitchfork, and Satanism was speculated by some. Some said the hand being severed from the body and 13 paces away from the body pointed to a ritual of Satanists and witches performing a ritual called the Hand of Glory.
Oh my gosh. That's brutal.
I know. All right. The next two theories include a German spy ring consisting of a British officer, a Dutchman, and a music hall artist. So, theory 3. She was potentially a Nazi spy and a Dutch woman. 10 years after Bella was found, a letter signed by Anna was given to a newspaper saying Bella was a spy that was in the area to monitor future air raids. In the letter, she said, quote, "You will never solve the mystery. The one person who can give the answer is beyond the jurisdiction." Oh my gosh. Do you guys ever read a word and then you forget how to say it? Jurisdiction. That's it. In the letter, she said, and I quote, "You will never solve the mystery. The one person who can give the answer is beyond the jurisdiction of earthly courts."
So we did.
Yeah, basically. The woman who sent the letter was eventually identified as Una Mossop. Una said Bella was part of a spy ring with her husband, Jack Mossop. She said Bella got too drunk with Jack and another friend one night and passed out. They then stuffed her in the tree as a prank, and when she woke up, she was unable to set herself free and ended up dying in the tree.
You don't think she would have yelled when she woke up and was like, "Help!" And somebody would have been like, "What's that I hear? A woman stuck in a tree?"
Well, apparently that night, or apparently within that time frame where she had gone missing, 2 separate men heard screaming from the woods. And they went and told the police, and the police went and searched, but they never found anything.
She was in the tree. She was in the tree.
That's so
I
sad.
know.
I'm
She
so
yelled for them to
scared.
come get her.
I have a
I
new fear of
know.
dying.
Dying in a tree.
Every time I hear screaming, I'm gonna start searching trees. And it's in the tree. That's so terrifying.
I
No,
know.
Nightmares.
I also found a theory that within her spy ring, so between the 3 of them, there was a disagreement and Bella was murdered and put in the witch tree by Jack and the other man. Una said that her husband had nightmares after the body was found and was never the same. He even had a nervous breakdown and was institutionalized for a time.
That's a normal reaction to finding a dead body. So,
Yeah, if he killed her and he was feeling guilty, I could see why he would feel that way. So the next theory, theory 4, is that she was a lover of a Nazi spy, Joseph Jacobs, and was a German actress and cabaret singer. Her name was Clara Borel, and in 1941, Jacobs parachuted into the area and was apprehended by the English. He had a photo of Clara, and it's thought that he recruited her to be a spy as well, or she was killed by the spy ring because she knew too much from what Jacobs would have told her. Clara was never heard from again after the Wych Elm. She does fit the description a little bit, but she was around 5'10", whereas the other woman was closer to 5 foot tall, or 5 feet tall.
That's a lot of inch difference.
Yeah.
But didn't you? So you had said earlier that it seemed like she recently had a child as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Or she had given birth to a child.
Is there any background there? Did they find anything linking a person to her?
Nope. But what's weird is there's also a death record of her dying in a hospital long after the woman was found in the Wych Elm. So it kind of makes sense, but it also could have just been a coincidence about the Clara and Jacobs.
You can fake a death record though, can't you? Or a death certificate.
That is very true.
Especially back in those days.
Yeah. So theory 5 is a woman named Bella was working on the Hagley Road area as a sex worker. And her friend noticed that she had been missing, and so she reported her to the police. this theory is, in my opinion, very plausible. Her name was Bella. She went missing, never heard from again. But the police looked into it and didn't find anything. So did they not find anything because she was a sex worker and they didn't put enough effort because of that? I don't know.
Or it was just hide and seek gone wrong.
It really could have been.
Save your theory,
I
Olivia.
mean,
That's as good as it gets tonight, guys. That's as good as it gets.
I mean, hiding in a tree would be genius.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad plan. So police have said that Satanism has nothing to do with the case, and they have publicly said that the bone scattering had to do with wild animals. They have concentrated on the claims that Bella was a sex worker who was killed by one of the people purchasing her services. In 2018, they made a reconstruction of her skull from photographs. To this day, the mystery of who the woman in the Wych Elm continues to go unsolved. They still do not know who she was, and her bones and autopsy have gone missing over the years. So they did a reconstruction of her face, but they had to do it from photographs because everything is gone. And it was weird because everything seems to have disappeared after the Nazi theory became popular and MI5 got involved.
She was totally a spy. She was totally a spy.
So even current DNA evidence would be unhelpful in solving the mystery of Bella in the Wych Elm.
That's
I was just about
interesting.
to ask that. Yeah, I was just about to
Yeah.
ask that because I was like, oh, if they have her dental, then maybe they could find a possible child that she would have given birth to around that time and then match the DNA. But I guess if there's nothing DNA wise, then
Yeah.
that child will never not know.
My theory, which has no background at all, but nobody, as far as I know, ever looked into this Lord Cobham guy. Like, the Bella was, whoever she was found on his property. He was a lord, so he had a large estate, and nobody ever looked into him. So I wonder if maybe there was anything there.
Maybe, just maybe, and hear me out, she was a mistress of his. And back then, if they were Catholic, it's not good, man. Okay, let me tell you. It's not good because you can't divorce your wife. So maybe he knocked up this mistress and then she had a baby and his wife found out and they got rid of both of them because it was supposed to be a secret. No one was supposed to know.
I mean, I could see that. Okay, so that was Bella and the Wych Elm.
That was
You've
great,
given me
Georgia.
nightmares.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, that was good. I'm picturing it.
I wish we had an answer.
This will.
Liv, if
This
you
is
have
off.
nightmares about it, tell us.
Honestly, I will, because this could definitely be a horror story. Like, how? First of all, like, imagine being trapped in a tree. That's real fear.
That would be so scary.
Imagine I would rather be dead and trapped in a tree and not alive and trapped in a tree. I panic super hard. There's no way.
And then imagine being the person who finds a dead person in a tree. That's even worse.
That's why I definitely think he didn't do it. Because, I mean, I was saying that's a normal reaction. Where a lot of these killers we hear, like cold-blooded, don't have any thoughts in their brain.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks, you have to like come up with this plan and, maybe they just assumed that the body would resurface because it's just that type of town. So they went through this elaborate plan and then called the cops and was like, oh, there's a woman who's dead in my tree.
A woman who's dead in my tree. I love it.
Lisa, you got any theories? Or was it just too fascinating?
I really like the spy theory. I'm along the lines of the spy theory. I like the hide and go seek one because I could just see myself doing that. It's like, this one looks really good. And I get in there and then I can't find my way out. But I'd be like praying the whole time, like, if I scream loud enough, someone's got to come. But then that's terrifying that there were people reported to have heard the screams. I think the spy one really plays out well because that's an odd way to kill someone is putting them in a tree. And just only spies could come up with it. Most of us would bury people.
Yeah.
Shove
that's
them in a
weird.
tree.
Here you go. All right. Georgia, that was really good. I mean,
Thank you.
what a
I loved
mystery.
it.
I'm scared.
Where'd you find
Now,
that?
yeah.
I just did a quick Google search.
Oh.
Sorry,
Glen
what did you
Elm.
Google? We'd like to know.
How to scare Olivia in 10 seconds.
That was it. Yep. No, I just did like biggest mysteries or something. Most fascinating mysteries.
I think Olivia now has a new fear as well.
In a tree.
I'm terrified.
She's
I'm
never going into
terrified.
a dark forest again.
All right. So that wraps up our mystery. Okay, now time for our sad but hopefully useful round. Olivia, have you got us a missing person today?
Yes. So I have our missing person, but I had chosen this missing person a couple days ago, and then just now I went to go pull it back up, and more people have popped up. I've seen like 5 new faces on this page, so it's like, I don't know, guys.
It's
This
really
is the tough
sad.
part. It's hard because now there are 5 more missing people than there were a couple of days ago, and it's like, geez Louise, you know what I mean? All right. So
Yeah.
today our missing person is Margaret Ellen Fox. She's been missing for a while now because they have quite a few pictures of how she would have aged, her age, like you know how they progress the photos to make them look older, so kind of get an idea what they look like now. So Margaret Ellen Fox, she was born February 4th, 1960. She has blue eyes. At the time that she disappeared, she was 105 pounds. Her race is considered white. Her hair is brown, and she was 5'2" at the time of her disappearance. At the time of her disappearance, 2 of Margaret's top front right teeth were missing, and she wore eyeglasses. She was last seen wearing jeans with a yellow patch on the knee, a blue blouse, a white and black checkered jacket, and brown sandals with a heel strap. She was also wearing a gold necklace with flowers and a blue stone, and a gold charm bracelet with a blue stone. Margaret was carrying an eyeglass case with a huckleberry hound design on it. Margaret Ellen Fox was last seen on June 24th, 1974, after traveling by bus to meet with a man who called himself John Marshall and had advertised for a babysitting job. Margaret was planning to go by bus to Mill and Main Streets in Mount Holly, New Jersey, to have an interview with this man about babysitting his young son. The man's phone number was later traced to a payphone in a local supermarket. Margaret was seen getting on the bus in Burlington, New Jersey at approximately 8:40 a.m. en route to Mount Holly, but she was never seen or heard from again. So she was about 14 when this happened. I believe that, so she was born in 1960, so she would be about 60 years old now, is that right? Yeah, so she should be about 60 years old now. If you have any information, or you are Margaret and don't realize you are Margaret, definitely take a look at our missing persons ad. Georgia will post them on our social media outlets. We will put the picture up. But I say, like, if you don't realize you're Margaret, I know there are actually a few cases of people who are missing and they didn't realize they were missing. And especially the ones who have been missing for so long. If those people are still out and about, which we hope they are, I hope you're able to figure out that you are a missing person, whatever the case is. If you have any information concerning this person, Margaret Ellen Fox, born June 24th, 1974, in Burlington, New Jersey, please contact your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy or consulate. The field office is in Newark. So, yeah, if you have any inkling of who this is, you can always check the FBI website or just check out our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We will have a picture of Margaret Ellen Fox on those social media outlets.
Thank you so much, Liv. I greatly appreciate that. All right. I think that's it for today, ladies. Shall we go ahead and sign out?
Peace, love, good tidings to all.
Peace, love, stay true, stay you.
Hopefully your 2021 is started off in a good January.
Yes, eat well, be safe, wear a mask, and love you always.
Have a happy 2021. Ooh, it's real weird.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.